Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. Already boasting the best lineup of cabins in the Smokies, Parkside Cabin Rentals has added several more just in the past few weeks. Visit their website and search for any of these beautiful two-story cabins, all within walking distance of Gatlinburg's main drag. Pine Tree Lodge, Maple Leaf Lodge, Hickory Hideaway, or the Chestnut Lodge. Check them out this week, parksidecabinrentals.com. There's no better place to stay in the Smokies than with the Ogle family. They understand hospitality. Been doing it for nearly 100 years. Okay, guys, going to be quick in this segment. Fall camp opens for Tennessee in the 2023 season this week. Opens on Wednesday. And in the month ahead, we'll be bringing you all the latest that's developing in practice. But right now, Ryan, and I'm going to take one off the table here. What is the number one priority for fall camp for Tennessee, and the one that everybody always throws out there? Stay healthy. We're taking that out. So what's the number one priority for fall camp?
I think it's making sure you have some dependable options on the offensive line, solidifying that position group. You lost so much with Darnell Wright and Jerome Carvin in particular leaving. You got a couple big holes to fill in the starting lineup. You think John Campbell is going to slide into one of those spots, probably at left tackle. Who's your right tackle? Is it Gerald Mincy? If he is, get him comfortable at right tackle because he hasn't played there before. Yeah. And also figure out the left guard spot. Is it going to be Ollie Lane, Andre Kark, the Texas transfer, or someone else? Got to figure that out if you're going to keep Joe Milton upright and if you're going to have a run game that you think you're going to have this year.
And the run game is so important for this offense. If you want to take care of Joe Milton, give him a run game. Will West, where are you going?
I'm going to be boring. I think it is the offensive line. I agree with Ryan completely. The reason why is I don't know that Joe Milton has the ability to improvise the way that Hendon Hooker does if the line does break down. The running game is going to be vitally important. And also, right, with this offense, I don't need my defense to be that great. I don't need to be the 85 Bears, right? But if I have a good offense where I can just control a team up front, and if I need to grind something out, I can. Also, it helps Joe Milton with his development and all of those things.
Okay, offensive line. Josh, what do you say?
Defensive backfield. A lot of competition because you have a lot of players who have played coming back. You also have a bunch of newcomers who arrived in the spring and have a lot of ability, and the staff really liked them through the recruiting process in terms of evaluating these guys that could come in and maybe help immediately, but how much trust, how much confidence from the coaching staff is there early on in the season for these freshman defensive backs who are competing with guys who have played a lot more.
I'm glad he said DBs because I'll say something different that will help the DBs, and that's developing and figuring out a pass rusher and a pass rush or rushers. They lost Byron Young, their leading sack guy, 7. Your next closest from last year only had 3. Whether it's Josephs, whether it's Pierce Jr., or somebody else, they need to figure that out because if you go into the season trying to figure that out on the fly, I think you're asking for bust and bad performances until you do that, and you don't want to develop on. You don't want to have to rely on always Tim Banks sending a bunch of blitzes. Omari Thomas said that, hey, we're trying to get home with 4, and one of those 4 is that Leo spot. They need production there.
Yeah, you saved time because I was going to say the same thing I said going into last year. If you're worried about your secondary, take pressure off the secondary by finding a pass rush.
Yeah.
So to me, I agree with you. It's pass rush. All right, all 3 of those are pretty important, though. Just give you an update here. We're going to take the poll down so you can continue to vote at sportsource.tv/polls. We'll tell you the final answers at the end of the show. But for now, let's see. The leader is mediocre, which shocks me. But the problem, it's not mediocre. We just showed you it's awful. So anyway, last in the SEC, and you're like, it's mediocre. All right. That's the number one vote getter. The problem is, the reason it's still saying below par is everybody else is worse than mediocre. There aren't many people saying it's exciting or good. Second most is below par, followed by disappointing or regrettable, followed by embarrassing. 30 votes for embarrassing. All right. When we come back, the Vol basketball team is off to Italy this week, but is the most important player on this team the guy who won't be playing in Italy? We'll discuss next on the Sports Source. Come on back.